A. There must have been a hurricane or a tornado. B. It can't be a real locomotive. It must be an advertisement. C. He might have teased the bull. D. The driver must have lost control of the truck. E. It might be a new design of sunglasses. F. It must be the crater of a volcano, or maybe a meteorite could have fallen. G. It could be something from another planet.
Meteorite hits house. New Orleans, Louisiana, USA. When Ray and Judy Fawcett arrived home on the afternoon of September 23, 2003, they discovered to their amazement that a meteorite had crashed through their two-story house. Neighbors said that they had heard a terrific noise, and 2 people had actually seen the fireball when the meteor hit. The meteorite had penetrated through the Fawcett's roof and the house's 2 floors, and it had ended up in the crawl space under the house, leaving debris and fragments along its path. A total mass of 42.5 pounds, 19.3 kilograms, from the meteorite was recovered from the Fawcett house. The 3 largest fragments weighed 6.5 pounds, 2.9 kilograms, 2.9 pounds, 1.3 kilograms, and 2.2 pounds, 1 kilogram.
What might have happened?
The driver might have hit a car on the road. What do you think it is?
It can't be a house. It must be an observatory.
Erica Schwartz. I'd invited a new friend for breakfast. While we were drinking our coffee, my guest asked if I wasn't going to introduce the gentleman who had previously been in the dining room. I said it must have been my husband, Joe, and I went to look for him. But the person had disappeared. My friend assured me she had seen a man who was wearing dark pants, a white shirt, and a black tie. That night, I told my husband about it, but then we forgot all about the incident. 2 weeks later, my 10-year-old daughter woke up and saw a man standing at the foot of her bed, staring at her. We told her she must have had a bad dream. Several nights later, we heard noises of chairs being moved around in the dining room. Joe went downstairs to investigate. The chairs had been moved from their places, but there was no one there. As soon as he climbed back into bed, the noise started again. We lived with those noises for more than a year, and some of the guests who slept in our house swore they had seen a man who wore dark pants, a white shirt, and a black tie. In the end, we had to sell the place and move out.
Fred and Mildred Mccann. Fred and Mildred Mccann had finished rounding up the cattle and were heading home after a long and extremely hot day. It was already dark by the time they got to the edge of the woods that surrounded their property. Suddenly, they noticed a strange glow coming from the bushes about 100 yards away. Could it be sparks from a fire? A fire at this time of the year would be catastrophic. Mildred and Fred got on their horses and rode to the spot. As they approached a clearing in the middle of the trees, they saw hundreds of tiny lights flickering in the bushes. They looked like miniature stars.
Crater, driver, recover, water, discover.
Excuse me, what's going on?
When I got to the park, a crowd had already gathered around that weird thing over there.
Gee, I wonder what it is.
Beats me. It must have fallen from the sky. Do you have any idea what it might be?
Whatever it is, it's man-made. It looks like part of a satellite to me.
Or it might be the remains of a weather balloon.
No, it can't be. I've seen weather balloons before, and that's not the type of equipment they have.
You see those lights flashing? And there's a humming sound coming from it. It must be a communications satellite.
Or maybe one of those UFOs. You never know.
What does Greg say?
1. Yeah, we'd better call the police. 2. It might be a time bomb. Let's get out of here. 3. I'm going to stick around to see what happens. 4. Your idea.
Rock the Earth. Thousands of meteorites enter Earth's atmosphere and fall harmlessly to the ground each year. One widely accepted theory is that the impact of an asteroid 6 miles, 10 kilometers in diameter, could have been responsible for the extinction of many life forms, including the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. On June 30th, 1908, a small asteroid of approximately 200 feet, 60 meters in diameter, exploded over Siberia. The explosive energy from the meteor was so great that 500,000 acres of Siberian forest were devastated. In order to protect against such events, NASA has developed ways to monitor near-Earth objects, NEOs. For example, the Near-Earth Asteroid Rendezvous, NEAR, is a spacecraft that monitors Eros, one of the largest asteroids being studied. This huge flying rock is the shape of a potato, and its size is 170 square miles, 442 square kilometers. Scientists believe that it might strike Earth in 1.5 to 5 million years. None of these NEOs is likely to hit the Earth over the next 100 years. However, scientists are concerned because at present, there are about 900 asteroids circulating our solar system. If an asteroid the size of Eros fell on Earth in the middle of the Atlantic, it would have catastrophic effects. But there are also other hazards from space. Thousands of nuts, bolts, and other debris from space missions form an orbiting garbage dump. Some of these bits and pieces fall back into Earth's atmosphere and behave just like any other meteor, lighting up the sky like a falling star as they enter the atmosphere. According to NASA, there must be over 100,000 objects with a diameter of 1 to 10 centimeters floating around space. The number of fragments less than 1 centimeter could be in the millions. The agency estimates that there might be more than 3,000 satellites orbiting Earth. In February 2008, for example, a satellite that contained toxic fuel was exploded over the Pacific Ocean so that it could not fall and harm humans. Some scientists speculate that one day there might be orbiting garbage collector machines to pick up the debris. Since the space surveillance mission began, almost 17,000 objects that were tracked re-entered Earth's atmosphere. Most objects that re-enter the atmosphere either burn up or re-enter over water. As a result, the risk of someone getting hit on the head by one of these objects is very remote. Nearly 3/4 of the planet is covered by water, and large areas of Earth's land are uninhabited.
The Daily Reading Journal.
We tend to think of remote controls as new devices. However, what we now take for granted at home or at work has been developed over a very long time. One of the earliest examples of remote control was developed in 1898 by Nikola Tesla, who demonstrated a radio-controlled boat to the public during an electrical exhibition at Madison Square Garden. In 1903, Leonardo Torres Quevedo presented the Telekino at the Paris Academy of Science. It consisted of a robot that executed commands transmitted by electromagnetic waves and was a pioneer in the field of remote control. The first remote-controlled model airplane flew in 1932, and by the late 1930s, several radio manufacturers offered remote controls for some of their more exclusive models. The first television remote control was developed in 1950. It was called Lazybones and was connected to the television set by a wire. A wireless and then an ultrasound remote control were developed in the mid-50s, but neither was reliable. More sophisticated television remote controls were introduced in the late 70s, but they had a limited number of functions, sometimes as few as 3. Next channel, previous channel, and volume off. Remote controls with a wider range of functions were finally launched in the 80s and became an immediate success. For the first time, viewers no longer watched programs just because they did not want to get up to change the channel. They could also channel surf during commercials or turn the sound off. By the early 2000s, the number of remote controls increased along with the number of electronic devices. Consumers needed a remote for each device. This led to the development of universal remote controls that can be used with different devices. Imagine controlling everything around you with the touch of a button on one single remote control. Is it wonderful or scary?